It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the award-winning broadcast covering fishing, hunting, and outdoor recreation throughout the Great Northwest. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, producing a legacy of innovation since 1969, by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter, and by Loophole, America's optical authority. Also sponsoring the show every week is Shiloh Inn & Suites, offering affordable excellence throughout the West. Mardon Resort, the place to fish and hunt in eastern Washington, and the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce, where nature is on display in Northeast Oregon all year long. And now, let's head into the field with your host, John Cruz.
It's May and it's been a glorious spring. Anglers are on the Columbia, Snake, and Clearwater rivers where they've been tying into Chinook salmon. Turkey hunters are bagging spring gobblers. Hikers are enjoying an abundance of wildflowers this spring. Bird watchers have lots to see this time of year. And if you're on the coast, it's a great time to see migrating gray whales. There's a lot to love. And this week on the show, we're going to look ahead towards a couple of underrated but fun fisheries getting ready to kick off. They're not quite there yet, but they're right around the corner. We want to give you the heads up on them. Vancouver guide Bill Woods is going to be talking about shad fishing below Bonneville Dam, something that's an absolute hoot to do. We'll also talk to Max Lure Pro Guide Roger Rauch about walleye fishing on the lower Columbia River. That's right. When it comes to fishing for walleye around Portland, things are just getting started. Speaking of underrated fisheries, bass fishing in Oregon barely gets any mention at all on the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife website, but it should, because there are plenty of places to go and catch both largemouth and smallmouth bass in the Beaver State. Outdoors writer and bass tournament angler Jason Haley from Medford will be joining us to tell you where to go and what to use to tie into some bass right now. If you're in the mood for a night at the movies, you can save yourself some money and have a great time taking in the Outdoor Film Festival that's touring throughout the Northwest this month at Sportsman's Warehouse stores near you. Not only will you get to take in some awesome outdoor films for free, but you'll also get a chance to win some great prizes, to include a chance to win a new Ram truck. In addition to this, we'll tell you about a couple of big bird festivals coming up and share some fishing reports from around the Northwest and info from Tony Floor with the Northwest Marine Trade Association about where you might want to drop a shrimp pot in Puget Sound this month. Can you say shrimp cocktail? Oh my, yum. But before we get any further into this show, David Sparks has a new edition of Sportsman Spotlight featuring music and answering the question of what you want to do if you end up with a squirrel in your house. Sportsman Spotlight is sponsored by Nate Luther's Guide Service. Nate can take you fishing right now for salmon, sturgeon, and smallmouth bass on the Snake River near Lewiston, Idaho. Give him a call at 208-503-9204 to book your trip today. Again, that's 208-503-9204 to book your trip with Nate Luther's Guide Service. And now, let's listen to a very unique edition of Sportsman Spotlight.
Today we're going to lead off Sportsman Spotlight with a little country song. David Sparks with Sportsman Spotlight. One of my dearest friends in all the world used to entertain the troops at hockey tournaments that we were playing by singing the old Ray Stevens song, The Mississippi Squirrel Revival.
I'd run barefooted all day long, climbing trees, free as song. One day, I happened to catch myself a squirrel. Well, I stuffed him down in an old shoebox and punched a couple holes in the top. When Sunday came, I snuck him into church. I was sitting way back in the very last pew, showing him to my good buddy Hugh. When that squirrel got loose, went totally berserk.
So just what happens when a squirrel gets into some place he shouldn't be, as in a house. Young Hunter Lindsay found himself in that very situation. A squirrel got into his house, started raising Cain, and Hunter had to take action.
We couldn't find a way to get it out. It was just too fast, so I had to use a blood art gun. You can buy them just anywhere, Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, even Walmart, and it's not too hard to shoot accurately.
The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting, hallelujah.
And that's what Hunter's mother said, hallelujah.
In the depth of Hell's Canyon, a monster sturgeon swims within the waters of the Snake River. He measures anywhere from 6 to 11 feet long and weighs out not in pounds, but in hundreds of pounds. You can fight him and you can catch him, but you'll need help to do so. That's where Nate Luther comes in. He's been navigating the rapids within Hell's Canyon for years and knows how to catch these sturgeon like no other man on the water. Find out more by going to Nate Luther's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Shiloh is proud to be celebrating over 40 years of providing you, our valued Shiloh customers, with Shiloh's sincere friendliness, efficient customer service, and clean, comfortable, attractive, non-smoking rooms and suites, all at an affordable price. Shiloh also offers many free amenities like free Wi-Fi and free continental breakfast or hot, full, delicious breakfast at most Shiloh Inns, as well as pools, spas, steam, sauna rooms, exercise fitness facilities, and business centers. And even the kids stay free. And for you dog lovers, Shiloh is very dog-friendly. So ask your best friend where he or she wants to stay. Next time you're traveling for business or pleasure, we think you'll get a paws up for Shiloh Inns. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohins.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family owned and proud of it.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. There's an outdoor film festival that's winding its way around the Northwest this month. With us here to tell us more about it is the founder of the Outdoor Film Festival and Tour, Gary Wilson. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Gary, what is this Outdoor Film Festival and Tour all about?
What it is, we've got a real good treat for you folks. So what we've done is we've had a series of events. Event number one is we had a film festival at the National Conventions for the Wild Sheep Foundation, and then also the Western Hunting Expo in Salt Lake City. That's partnered with the Mule Deer Foundation and Sportsman Fish and Wildlife. If you're probably familiar with Sundance Film Festival,
sure.
We did those for the hunting industry, and we had all the sheep films submitted at the Wild Sheep Foundation. The Western hunting, we had all the Western big game, caribou, moose, deer, elk, bear films. Those were all submitted. And then we went back east to Springfield, Missouri, and did another film festival where we invited the filmmakers to an event with the Professional Outdoor Media Association. And we had another whitetail category. And so we have all the big game covered. We awarded them the top 10 films. We've had over 100 films submitted combined, and now we've awarded top 10 for those different species. And now what we're doing is touring around the country with the best of festivals. So we have the top 10 or 12 films that we showcase when we come to your hometown.
Wow. Now, most of your stops are at Sportsman's Warehouse stores around the West. And I'm going to ask, why don't you walk me through? You're going to have one coming up at East Wenatchee on May 14th. I plan on being there myself. I'm going to show up with my camp chair. I'm going to walk into the parking lot. What happens next?
It's a fun day event. During the entire day, Ram Trucks is one of our sponsors. So we actually start at 9 a.m. in the morning, and we have Ram Truck present during the entire day. And we do test drives with the Ram Truck. And during that time, you can enter to win a Ram Truck. And so that goes from 9 a.m. all the way through the show, which starts right at dusk. And at dusk, we're going to blow up a big 20-foot screen. We have about 8 to 10 pop-up tents that are all customized with our sponsors. The sponsors really made this happen, and Sportsman's Warehouse has been fantastic. We've now gone on a tour last year. This is our second tour, and we'll be coming through a second time to this spring. We went last fall, and this spring will be our second. And so we have a very tailgate atmosphere type of a film. A drive-in, if you want to call it, a tailgate party, if you want to call it that. We're allowing anybody to barbecue, bring your food. We've had people bring sofa chairs. We've had people drive up in a Model T on a date night. I've had people, literally pull up with their truck in the back and eat and sit in the back of their trucks. We've had boats, RVs, where people, we'll stage those with some of the trucks. So the trucks, they're kind of neat because we're showing off the new Eco Diesel, that has 28 miles a gallon, versus the new Hemi, which can pull up to 10,000 pounds. So people really don't know that. So that's kind of their promotional piece. But that evening, it's just a great atmosphere. It's not often you see a movie of this caliber on the big screen. Now, I've watched a lot of films, and when I go to TV and watch them on TV, it's just watered down. A big screen with big sound is the best way to watch any film.
I'll tell you what, Gary, I'm getting excited. And again, folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Gary Wilson. He's the founder of the Outdoor Film Festival, which is on tour throughout the Northwest this month. Now, Gary, I understand when you stop at these Sportsman's Warehouse stores that there's some giveaways. In fact, there's a chance once a year to win one of these Dodge Ram pickup trucks, but there's also giveaways for the Sportsman's Warehouse stores too.
Absolutely. What we want to do is make it a fun event. And I know one of the biggest attractions is you want to go to an event like this and go away with some chance of winning. So we have a raffle that we give away a $500 gift certificate at every show. We showcase a Model 700 Remington that's listed at $499. So you can go in and buy that gun, or you can go in and buy, $500 pair of socks, I guess, or any other product you want inside Sportsman. It's easier to give you a gift certificate than it is to give you a gun. So we make it easy for everyone.
Let me ask you another question here, Gary. You're going to watch 12 films. How long does this event last? It's going to start around 7 o'clock in the evening. When are people going home? When's the last film end?
Sure, good question. We have films that are all average about 10 to 8 minutes. 8 minutes to 12 minutes is the average. And so to get through them all, it takes just about 2 hours. I'm trying to wheedle it down, but man, we're cutting out a couple good films. So we've been right at 2 hour mark this year. We start at 7. If we start at 7, we'll end at 9. If we start at 8:30, we'll end at 10:30. It's just about a 2 hour play. They're one of a kind. Now, these films that are showcased are the first time they're seen to the public, and the first time you'll be able to see these films in this type of setting. Later on, we're going to put these films on television, and they'll be airing on the Sportsman's Warehouse Outdoor Film Festival, which airs Monday nights on the Sportsman's Channel. And your region, which your Pacific time zone, that would be 8:30 Monday nights. You can see last year's winners currently on television.
This is exciting stuff. I had no idea. This is really a big deal.
What you normally see on TV is great for television, but what we have are films, and that's the biggest separator from what I'm showcasing. There's been a lot of new film content that's come across the internet, but it's not really organized. Guys have good films, or there's new equipment, DSLRs today. Some of these guys are getting professional status going. And so we've got from the high-end guy who's producing for the major commercials on the outdoor industry, all the way down to the independent filmmaker where this is their first film ever.
Wow.
But they're so passionate about it. That's what really brings these films alive, is that there's a whole new revolution going on in the film industry, and we're not alone. In the hunting industry, guys can afford the good equipment. They're using sliders, they're using jigs, they're using voiceover, they're selecting their music and I'll say real quick, the music is the most power that engages people.
Sure.
And these guys have done a very good job selecting the right music. So it's a really good sound score, a music score that we go through the night. And it's a great balance. We have elk movies, we have deer, we have fish, we have mountain goats, sheep. So we cover a good variety of all the species so that if you're an outdoorsman, you're not going to be disappointed. Every
Gary.
person that's ever come to this has walked away shaking the hand, saying, "Oh, thank you. This is amazing. It's refreshing. I love it." And so I would encourage anybody to come. Now we've done something for you. This film has, it could be a $15 ticket.
Right. I was going to ask, what is the cost?
We've made it free because we want you to bring your children. We want you to bring the next generation to come and get engaged with this great conservation film project and platform that we're showcasing. And so we've made it in a parking lot where you can come with anybody. It's family-oriented. It's a great opportunity. We want to give a few hats and giveaways to kids. We'll do our best there and make them come alive with what's out there. They'll remember this event. You can show them television all day. They'll kind of forget it all blends together. You take them to a night where there's a big screen, a big setting. They'll remember this the rest of their life because it's that empowering. And that's the beauty why we've gotten such great support from Boone and Crockett, Pope and Young, Mule Deer Foundation, Elk Foundation, Quality Deer Management, Wild Sheep, and all of our sponsors.
Well, Gary, we are out of time. But again, folks, it's the Outdoor Film Festival and Tour. There is no cost to attend this great event that Gary's been telling you about. Let me give you the schedule of where it's coming in the Northwest. May 5th is going to be the Sportsman's Warehouse store at Medford. May 6th, it's going to be at the Sportsman's Warehouse store in Bend. May 8th, Hillsboro. May 9th, Portland. May 13th, Silverdale. May 14th, the East Wenatchee store. I'm going to be at that one. May 15th, Lewiston, Idaho's Sportsman's Warehouse. May 16th, Post Falls, but not at a Sportsman's Warehouse. It'll be at Buck Knives. But then they're heading back to a Sportsman's Warehouse store, the new one in Spokane, on May 18th. May 19th, Missoula, Montana. May 20th, Helena, and May 21st, the Sportsman's Warehouse store in Bozeman. If you didn't catch all that, just go to their Facebook page. It's the Outdoor Film Festival and Tour Facebook page. The whole schedule's there, along with more information about this great event coming to a Sportsman's Warehouse store near you. Gary, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
I appreciate it, John. Thanks for all your time, and we support what you're doing, and we thank great syndicate programs such as yours that carry this message across to your listeners. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Leupold has been building optics in Oregon since 1907, and Leupold binoculars bring excellent optical performance and modern styling to the serious outdoorsman. Whether you're a boater, birder, backpacker, or hunter, Leupold's state-of-the-art binocular lines are sure to fit your needs. From the Poro Prism Yosemite series to the top-of-the-line McKinley Roof Prism, Leupold has a product that is perfect for the passions you pursue. Visit Leupold.com or your local Cabela's, Bi-Mart, or Sportsman's Warehouse to see the full line of Leupold optics.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute, brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. This time around, we're with Roger Roush. He is the owner of Roush Guide Service, and he's a Max Lure Pro Guide and Pro Staffer. We're broadcasting from the Pacific Northwest Sportsman Show, so that's the background noise you hear. You've been a busy guy, Roger. Thanks for taking a minute.
No problem.
Roger, you fish for walleye on the Columbia like a lot of guides do, but you fish a different part of the Columbia. You fish the lower Columbia below Bonneville Dam. What's your turf, so to speak, that you like to fish for walleye in?
Basically, Multnomah Falls down to the I-5 area.
I know that there's tournament folks that will fish that area, but you're the only guide I know that does that on a regular basis. You know, what's the fishing like down there?
We have an excellent walleye fishery. I've been fishing that for 35 years. Our stocks are as good now as they were then, if not better.
Average size of the fish there?
4 to 6.
Not going to sneeze at that at all. And what's the limit?
10 a day.
Well, think about that, folks. You can basically take home about 50 pounds of walleye on a good day with Roger. So I got to ask you, best time of year to go?
Summer months, July, August, September, October.
And why don't you go earlier in the year? Because I know in the upper part of the Columbia, everyone's fishing in the winter months.
Below Bonneville with that water rushing out of there and tide and everything, it's just a little wild and crazy. It's difficult to find.
All right, so from June through November, it's prime time for walleye on the lower Columbia. What are you using to get fish in the boat?
By far the most favorite thing is a Silver Dot Smile Blade from Max. They're a walleye getter in that section of the river. And
so are you just fishing this basically with some beads behind it, maybe a slow death hook?
No, I haven't fished the slow deaths very much. It's just basically beads and a night crawler with a Smile Blade.
And how much weight do you need in that section of the river in terms of a bottom walker?
Stick with 3 ounces if you're shallow or deep, and it's always a downstream troll.
Well, there you go, folks. That wraps up another Max Minute from Max Lure Company. If you want to find out about fishing with Roger Roush, give him a call. 503-880-3780. That's 503-880-3780. Or go to his website at northwestwalleyefishing.com. That's northwestwalleyefishing.com. Walleye anglers all over the Northwest are raving about the new Smile Blade Spindrift walleye lure made by Max Lure Company. Lance Mers is with us here to tell us more about it.
This lure is fantastic. We've got the patented Smile Blade. We've got a pill float that keeps it just off of the bottom where the fish like to bite. And that Spindrift hook is absolutely phenomenal. You can tip it with any kind of bait.
Tip it with a crawler, tip it with a leech, whatever you tip it with, it's going to catch more fish. It's the Smile Blade Spindrift walleye lure, only from Max Lure Company.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after, whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of its Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
Nate Luther wants to take you fishing for monster sturgeon on the Snake River and Hell's Canyon. If you're looking for a fishing adventure, this one is hard to beat. Find out more by going to Nate's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
Get that bass! Get that bass! I'm a bass master cause I get that bass. When I wanna get some, I can get some fast. Go to the hole with my 4-stroke Johnson.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. There's a lot of people talking about springer fishing right now, but there's other fish to catch here in the Northwest too. And one of them that doesn't get a lot of attention in the state of Oregon is the bass. That's right. There's largemouth bass, there's smallmouth bass, there's even hybrid bass in the state of Oregon. And we are going to talk to a guy who fishes for them all the time. His name is Jason Haley. He's an outdoors writer with the Northwest Outdoor Writers Association. He is also a content provider and territory manager for MyOutdoorBuddy.com, covering Southern Oregon, and a bass tournament angler to boot. Jason, great to have you on the show again.
Thank you, John. Good to be here.
Jason, you live down Medford Way, and you do quite a bit of bass fishing. What's your home lake? What's your favorite lake to fish down in Southern Oregon?
Well, in Southern Oregon, to be honest with you, John, I'm partial to Howard Prairie Lake up on the Dead Indian Plateau, but we've got water issues this year. Yeah, I understand that, and we got water issues all over the Northwest, but, is the water already so low here in May that you can't launch? For the moment, it's good. The lake just opened up the end of April, and I've already seen a few big bass photos from friends that I rub shoulders with, but it won't be long. The marina docks are high and dry. I don't know how these guys launch, but it's going to be a very short spring, and summer's going to be virtually nothing except for bank anglers and float tubers. Well, let's talk about some other places then, and I guess one that won't be so affected by the drought that's really popular is over towards Coos Bay, and that would be 10 Mile Lake. Oh, yeah, 10 Mile. I've always got tournaments on the brain, and that's one of our best tournament lakes. In fact, as we speak, one of the biggest tournaments, the Bassin' for Bucks tournament's going on right now. I wasn't able to make that. Looking forward to getting over there for sure. I just had some club buddies that fished a tournament 2 weeks ago, and it was 20 pounds to win both days, Saturday and Sunday. Everybody caught limits. The age class seems to be doing a little better over there right now. They're catching some little fish along with the normal 3-pound plus fish. So it's looking good for this year. And levels are great, of course. 10 Mile's that classic lowland bass lake that you find here in the Northwest. Lots of lily pads for structure, lots of submerged timber. How do you like to fish at this time of year? Well, over there, I like to pitch jigs, but, there's so many different ways to catch them, and everybody's good at different techniques, flipping Cincos, throwing little swim baits, cruising them along docks. Right now, you're talking about, potentially bedding bass, so that's a whole different sight fishing situation. Let's talk about a different sort of bass, the hybrid bass that you find in Anna Reservoir. Have you ever had the chance to fish up there? Never have, John, no. It's really a unique place. It's actually only about a 90-acre reservoir. It's located near Summer Lake. Literally in the middle of nowhere, it seems. But if you get a chance, folks, give it a try. If you want to try something really different, hybrid bass, it's something unusual that you just don't see in the Northwest. Any other lakes stand out for you in Oregon? Henry Hagg, maybe? Never fished it, to be honest with you, John. For me, Dorena Reservoir outside of Cottage Grove is one of the best. Got great largemouth fishing there. Of course, the Umpqua River for smallies, hard to beat, and the Columbia up here where we're at. Lost Creek Lake is the water levels are great and the water's clear, looks great. It's about 55 degrees right now. I was out there the other day with my kids and we did not catch any fish, but that was our fault. We were hung up a lot. Applegate is pretty close to my house. That's a great smallmouth lake. Galesville Reservoir, closer to Grants Pass, is good. Little Hyatt Lake right next to Howard Prairie is a great bass lake, but once again, those two are really struggling with water levels. Tell me a little bit more about Applegate, because whenever I hear about Applegate, I always hear about the trout there. I've actually never heard of anybody talking about the bass fishing there. Applegate's relatively small and steep banks, but it's good right now. The water level is going to be problematic this summer because they irrigate with it and it'll go down. But right now, there's big smallmouth in there. You can catch them drop shotting. You're in pre-spawn situation right now. It'll get really good in later in May and into June, when the topwater season starts. It's a slow lake. You can't go more than 5 or 10 miles per hour, so you can, if you've got an electric motor or you just want to putt around on your outboard, it's a great place, and you're not dealing with jet skis and those types of things.
I want to talk a little bit about topwater fishing because, folks, if you haven't been topwater bass fishing before, especially in the morning or at sunset, there are a few things more fun than watching a bass come out of the water and just destroy that lure. What do you like to use in terms of lures for topwater? Are you a guy that throws frogs, or are you using plugs of some sort? What do you do?
Well, I really love prop baits, John. Propeller baits are just a popper. I've been throwing them since I was 10 or 12 years old, but right now the things that are trending are these large topwater baits. You've got your spooks, of course, but there's a thing called a whopper plopper right now that's kind of like a spook with a tail that spins, almost like a buzz bait, and it gets some really big bites for sure.
Let's talk about a technique, walking the dog. A lot of people, when they talk about topwater fishing, they talk about walking the dog. What does that mean for those that don't know?
Well, the advantage to a walk the dog style bait is you can cover so much water with it. You kind of drop your rod tip and twitch it, and you've got this stick style topwater plug kind of moving back and forth like a snake. And when you don't know where the bass are and you're just searching for them, it's a great tool because you can make long casts and cover a ton of water with it.
What kind of speed do you like to do on your retrieve when it comes to topwater fishing? Are you I've heard everything from after the initial cast, let it sit for up to 60 seconds, do a twitch, wait another 15, 30 seconds, and then you start your retrieve. And then I see a lot of guys, especially tournament anglers, just throw it out and they're just retrieving it back right away.
It always depends, John, time and place and what stage of the spawn the fish are in. But if I have fish located and I have an idea how they're positioning on structure, I'll throw a popper and be real precise with my cast. If I'm searching, I'll throw a walk the dog style bait or a buzz bait to search for them. But I just wrapped up a tournament in California, and I couldn't get them to bite until I left the lure, and they were literally biting it with a dead stick technique, just sitting there still. It's the only way I could get them to bite it.
Wow. Well, there you go. There's a great tip for you, folks. One other thing I want to talk about when it comes to topwater fishing is maybe to dispel a myth. And, the myth is that you can only do topwater early in the morning and in the evening. But at least I've got some friends that use this technique all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes the very best topwater bites you get are in the late spring or in the afternoon when the fish finally come up from deep water. They're wanting to sun themselves, and they kind of just start getting jazzed up, late morning into afternoon. And yeah, so you learn how to fish topwater. You can fish it all day long when they're biting it.
All right, we're starting to run a little bit low on time, but before we go, I want to talk about myoutdoorbuddy.com. If people go to that website, what are they going to find?
Well, we've got hunting and fishing and other outdoor news, mostly in Southern Oregon, over to the Southern Oregon coast at Coos Bay and the Lakeview area. We also cover Northern California, but generally Southern Oregon.
All right. So you've got fishing reports there from all over Southern Oregon and Northern California, updated frequently too.
Absolutely. Sometimes several times a day. We've got a half a dozen, 6 or 8 regular columnists also that write for us on various topics. There's a lot of unique content there.
All right, folks. We are again out of time. By the way, if you're wondering where the biggest bass are in Oregon, I can tell you the state record smallmouth came out of Henry Haig Lake, and the state record largemouth actually came out of a little pond near Springfield, Oregon. So, lots of places to fish in the Beaver State for bass, and now you know some good techniques that you can use to catch them too. Jason, thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you much, John.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your camping equipment and fishing gear and head out to Northeast Oregon, where you'll find the views are endless, the air crisp and clean, and the water's cold and clear. Set up camp by the shores of Wallowa Lake or in the heart of the Wallowa-Whitman National Forest. Take your fishing gear and cast your bait into the deep waters of Wallowa Lake, or roll your fly into one of the eddies of the many freestone creeks and rivers teeming with fish. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
In the depth of Hell's Canyon, a monster sturgeon swims within the waters of the Snake River. He measures anywhere from 6 to 11 feet long and weighs out not in pounds, but in hundreds of pounds. You can fight him and you can catch him, but you'll need help to do so. That's where Nate Luther comes in. He's been navigating the rapids within Hell's Canyon for years and knows how to catch these sturgeon like no other man on the water. Find out more by going to Nate Luther's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
I'm gonna take you fishing, honey. You're gonna love it. Gonna get up before the sun rise above us. Got a bamboo pole.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir. This past week, bass fishing has been amazing for largemouth back in the sand dunes and smallmouth in the Lynn Cooley arm of Potholes Reservoir. Walleye action has been improving each week, and fishing off the dock for bass and trout hasn't been bad either. By the way, if you're a bass angler, you might want to sign up for the Mardon Open Bass Tournament. It's taking place the 16th and 17th. That's right, this coming weekend. There's going to be some healthy competition, and based on last month's Bass Open, I expect a whole bunch of big bass are going to be caught and released. Find out more by contacting the folks at Mardon Resort. One way to do it is through their website at mardonresort.com. That's mardonresort.com, where the fish bite, but we don't. May is the month to go after shrimp in Washington's Puget Sound waters, but the seasons are very restrictive. There are 18 shrimp fishing zones, each with different days and hours. For example, in Hood Canal, you can catch shrimp today for you Saturday listeners, and also on the 11th and 13th, but only between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Tony Floor with the Northwest Marine Trade Association loves shrimping and provided us some information about it. He says your best chance for success is probably going to be at Iceberg Point off the southwest end of Lopez Island between 160 to 200 feet of water during the soft tides. Now, this fishery is open on the 13th through the 16th, the 20th through the 23rd, and 27th through the 30th this month. In Tony's words, it's money. They live there like people in Beijing. By the way, no offense to any of our listeners tuning in today from Beijing. Tony says another good place to go shrimping is at Discovery Bay, which is open the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. The limit is 80 shrimp a day per person, which makes for quite a few shrimp cocktails. If you don't know how to go shrimping, just stop by your local sporting goods store in the greater Puget Sound region and ask. They will get you geared up in no time at all. This is an easy thing to do. And in western Montana, the Grizzly Hackle Fly Shop in Missoula reports flows have increased on both the Bitterroot and Clark Fork, but as of last week, both were still fishable, and dry flies were working well for trout on the Clark Fork below Missoula. Try casting a March Brown, a Gray Drake, or a Blue Wing Olive. If the weather's cloudy and you're on the Bitterroot, use streamers, and if you find yourself on the Missouri River at Holter Dam, you'll discover Blue Wing Olive and midge hatches are going off, and the trout are chowing down. You can find out more about what's going on and get some flies, tackle, and advice, the advice you need to be successful, by stopping by the Grizzly Hackle Fly Shop at 215 West Front Street in Missoula. Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're talking to Bill Woods. He's a fishing guide, owner of Obsession Fishing out of Vancouver, Washington. He actually will take you fishing for salmon, steelhead, and sturgeon, but in June, he will take you fishing for shad on the Columbia River. It's a fishery that doesn't get a lot of attention, and that's a shame because it is a ton of fun. Bill, tell me more about this fishery.
Well, it's right below Bonneville Dam, and mostly known as the Shad Rack. We like to fish right there. It is some fast current, so people that go up there need to know what they're doing, know how to anchor in the area that we're fishing at. Real easy. Most of the fish are anywhere between 2 pounds and 5 pounds for the females that are a little bit bigger. And, you can't get much easier. It's Dick Nights. You can run them on a dropper. You can run them on a diver, however you want to go about it. It's great for kids. Kids really like to fish it, and when we go up there, that's mostly what we do. We take the kids up there and they have a great time. It's the only place you can go and probably catch 100 fish a day, and it's non-stop action. It's a real good time.
Folks, if you haven't tried shad fishing before, they are really sporty fish. I mean, they fight surprisingly good. They look like a huge herring on steroids is probably the best way to describe them. But they're a ton of fun, like you said. And I haven't caught 100 fish in a day, but I have fishing below Bonneville off the bank, just fishing shad jigs. I've caught, up to 30 a day. But getting like 100 fish a day, that would just be an absolute hoot for anybody. So let's go through this a little bit more in depth on technique. So you're going to anchor up. And are you usually pretty close to shore?
Yeah, we, a lot of times we're anywhere from 5 to 10 feet off the bank. Up there at the shad rack, you can be anywhere from 5 feet of water to about 13 feet of water, kind of on the inside of a seam, and that's where we like to target them. A lot of times wing dams work really well if you're fishing downriver. They do a lot of that down at Washougal. There's a couple of good areas down there, and it's the same thing. You're looking for lanes that the fish are going to be running in that particular day, and you got to be willing to switch up. Colors are a big difference, green tip, red tip, gold, half and half. If it's sunny outside or if it's cloudy, you've got to be able to change that stuff up a little bit. Scents do matter a little bit. It's not as important as, salmon fishing or something like that, but that does help out now and then. And you're just looking for that depth, maybe a little ledge, but right there along where we're talking about on the shad rack, it's a long stretch, and most times there'll be 5, 6, 7 other boats in there, and you kind of watch what's going on around you, and you can figure it out pretty quick.
So you mentioned fishing on a dropper. So basically, are you doing like a cast and swing, or are you just like dropping it behind the boat and the weight's on the bottom and the Dick Knight's fluttering above it?
Yeah, that's exactly like what we do. Usually it's about a 2-foot to a 1-foot dropper. You drop that down there, and it's on a slider. And we usually like to back it down. A lot of times we use just a gold hook with a green or a red bead. Same deal, we back it down, if they're comfortable with that. You can back it down about 20, 30 feet. A lot of times you catch them before you ever set the rod down. So if that's what they're comfortable to do, we do that too. The kids normally will bounce it down there, just put them down with the divers, put them out about 45 feet, let them swim out there, and they go off. It's that easy. It's that simple of a fishery.
So there you go, folks. If you want to get somebody into fishing, this is a wonderful way to do it. How much do you charge for these shad trips? And I'm guessing these are 4-hour trips, not full-day trips.
Yeah, 4-hour trips. We do it for $100 for the 4 hours. It's as many as you can catch, as many as you want to take home. Great crab bait. A lot of people do eat them. It just depends on how you cook them. They can be good. I use them for bait. A lot of other guys do too.
I was going to say, Bill, I haven't figured out how to cook them yet either, but they are great crab bait. And if you're after oversized sturgeon, they're a really good bait for that as well. So it's shad fishing. It's on the Columbia River. We've had runs of several million shad come up the Columbia and cross over Bonneville Dam. So get in on this action. Chances are really good you're going to catch some fish. You can find out more by contacting Bill Woods. What's your phone number?
360-608-5230.
That's 360-608-5230, 360-608-5230, or go to his website, obsessionfishingguideservice.com. That's obsessionfishingguideservice.com for shad, as well as all sorts of other fish, too. Bill, thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.
Gonna get up before the sun rise above us. Got a bamboo pole and a leaky boat. It ain't much, but if you bail, it'll float. I'm gonna take you fishing, honey. You're gonna love it.
Looking for the ultimate cooking machine for your backyard or patio? Look no further than Camp Chef's new pellet grill and smoker. With user-friendly features like an auto ignition, digital readouts, and internal meat temperature sensors, it's easy to smoke the tastiest salmon, ribs, brisket, and turkey you'll ever eat. And an innovative system makes cleanup a snap. Everyone will want the food you're cooking on your Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker. The quality smoker that's second to none. Find out more at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
You demand quality performance from your binoculars, whether you use them in the field, on the water, or at a stadium. But you don't want to spend a fortune. That's where the BX Mackenzie binoculars from Leupold come in. These armored, waterproof binoculars are both comfortable and dependable. Look for your Mackenzie binoculars at quality sporting goods retailers near you, to include your Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, or Northwest Bi-Mart stores. BX Mackenzie, bringing your world into sharper focus, only from Leupold.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your hiking boots and camera and capture the beauty and grandeur of Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Experience nature like never before when you saddle up and ride into the Eagle Cap Wilderness, hike the trails of the Wallowas, hear the wind rush through the bunch grass and view the wildlife of the Zumwalt Prairie, or ride the churning waters of the wild and scenic Wallowa, Snake, and Grand Ronde rivers. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
Ah, the great outdoors. I'm ready for a great weekend of camping at this remote campground. But first, I think I'll invite my camp neighbors over for a meal of fire-roasted hot dogs and baked beans. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum. Hi, neighbors. I just came over to...
Pizza!
Hey, is that pizza you're eating? How did you get pizza out in the middle of nowhere?
Pizza!
Thanks. Oh, this is delicious. A pizza oven operated on a propane canister and another on the top of your camp stove? And they're both made by Camp Chef? I knew Camp Chef made great stuff for outdoors cooking, but this? I've got to get one of these pizza ovens from Camp Chef. No more beans and weenies for this guy. From now on, it's artisan pizza for me when I'm camping.
Pizza!
The Camp Chef Pizza Oven. Bake your own artisan masterpiece on your back patio or at the campground. Find out more at your local sporting goods dealer or at campchef.com.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time to share some upcoming events at area Sportsman's Warehouse stores and give you your trivia question of the week. If you heard our conversation with Ike Eastman earlier in the show, you know the Outdoor Film Festival Tour is a really big deal, and we wanted to remind you it's going to be on May 14th at East Wenatchee, May 19th in Missoula, and May 20th in Helena. The start time for all 3 shows is 7 p.m. And now, for your weekly trivia question. This bird is called a mud hen. In fact, there's a minor league baseball team called the Toledo Mud Hens, a team made famous by Klinger in the TV series MASH. But the term mud hen is just a nickname for this bird. What is the proper name for this bird, often seen in marshes and lakes here in the Northwest? That's right. What's the proper name for the mud hen? Give us your answers by contacting us through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com or like our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio and let us know there. Everyone with the correct answer has a chance to win the $25 gift card we'll be giving away to one lucky entrant after our last broadcast this weekend. Again, what's the proper name for a mud hen? Give us your answers through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com or through our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We've got several other events to tell you about, also having to do with birds. The Leavenworth Spring Bird Fest is taking place May 14th through the 17th. There's going to be lots of birding opportunities in the Cascade Mountains of north central Washington if you attend, and several speakers to include David Gessner, who has a presentation called My Life with Ospreys. That sounds interesting. The Ladd Marsh Bird Festival near LeGrand is taking place at the Ladd Marsh Wildlife Management Area, a spectacular place for bird watching with lots of easily accessible wetlands habitat. Field trips are going to be taking place during the weekend. That's the 15th through the 17th. And volunteers will be on hand at birding stations to help you see and learn about birds of the marsh. And there's going to be presentations there too, including one by Harry Fuller, who's going to talk about great gray owls. The cost to attend this festival is $10. You can find out more at the ODFW website. That's right, the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife website. Just go to their events page. Saturday the 16th is a carp derby day in Lava Springs, Idaho. You'll be going after carp in the Portneuf River from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can win both cash and prizes during this fun fishing event. And the first 50 entrants get a t-shirt from Sportsman's Warehouse. The entry fee is $10 per person or $15 for a team of 2. Meet at the Lava Springs Pool Complex on Saturday morning to find out more. And also on the 16th is the annual Caddis Festival in Craig. Meet downtown at 4 p.m. Saturday in this fly fishing crazed town in central Montana for a parade, barbecue contest, auctions, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some prizes that include some fly fishing trips there too. There'll be some live music too, and proceeds benefit the Craig Volunteer Fire Department. Last but not least, I hope you'll join me at the Chelan County Fairgrounds in Kashmir on May 16th for the annual Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation banquet hosted hosted by the Colocum chapter. This is going to be our $1 million banquet. That's right. The Colocum chapter has raised $1 million for the Elk. It's going to be a great time, full of fun, full of fellowship, and, like I said, raising money for a great cause. Go ahead and pick up your tickets at the East Wenatchee Sportsman's Warehouse store or at Hooked on Toys in Wenatchee. That's all for this week. If you didn't get a chance to hear the whole show, you can do so on our website at northwesternoutdoors.com. Another place to hear our show is at renoviolaoutdoors.com. That's the home of WRVO Radio, an internet radio station dedicated to outdoors programming. That's renoviolaoutdoors.com. We're out of time, and frankly, I want to go fishing. So until next time, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.